On June 18th, 2003, 5 months after his disappearance, 40-year-old Larry Groves' remains were found in the crawl space of his Lakeville, Indiana home. After ruling out the prime suspect in Larry's murder in 2006, his case has gone cold. On January 12, 2003, 40-year-old Larry Groves arrived home to his small Lakeville, Indiana bungalow around 9 p.m. He lived alone, but shared the residence with his 2 beloved dogs. Larry placed a call to his friend Sandy Smith, who lived in Biloxi, Mississippi, around 11 p.m. According to Sandy, they chatted as normal for about 10 minutes. Suddenly, Sandy heard someone, quote, banging loudly on Larry's door. She said she heard a man's voice angrily demanding to be let inside.
Oh my gosh.
Larry assured her it was no big deal and told her who it was knocking at the door. His name has never been publicly released. Larry told Sandy he would call her back in 20 minutes, but never called her back. On January 28th, Wanda Groves, Larry's mother, reported her son missing after learning he hadn't been tending to his antique business and hadn't been seen by any of his friends, neighbors, or other family members. Police went to his house, but found no sign of Larry or his 2 dogs.
No.
Yeah. Larry's case quickly went cold, and on Memorial Day weekend, his mom decided to do some investigating of her own. Wanda entered her son's house to find it in immaculate order.
Let's go, Wanda.
Nothing seemed to be out of place or taken, but there was no sign of Larry. Wanda sat at her son's desk and began hunting for any clue as to where he might be, but found nothing. In April, Larry's sister, Pam Spence, and police also entered Larry's house to search for clues. After spending several hours at the residence and turning up empty-handed, they left. Then, on June 18th, Larry's next-door neighbor, Dick Shalol, began noticing an abnormal amount of blackbirds perched atop the fence that separated his yard from Larry's. He assumed it was due to the large amount of peaches that had fallen into his yard from an overgrown peach tree in Larry's yard. Dick decided to cut the excess branches that were growing over his fence. While trimming the tree, he saw something strange on the backside of Larry's house.
Oh no.
Dick said it looked as though Larry's windows and siding had been painted black. Dick approached the house only to realize it wasn't paint, but thousands of flies covering the interior of the windows and outside siding of the house.
There you go.
Dick called a man named Durrell Bennett, who was the father of a man named Tom Bennett. Durrell had given Tom the home to live in. Tom was Larry's longtime companion, a.k.a. whoever was writing this is missing the point they're probably gay. Longtime companion. Larry and Tom had been living in the house together since Larry was 17. In 2001, Tom passed away from a sudden heart attack. The house was given back to Tom's father, Durrell. Durrell kept the deed to the house, but told Larry he was welcome to live there for as long as he wanted. Okay, so Durrell's the dad, Tom's the son, Tom, Larry, partners. Tom died, Larry stayed. Larry's now missing.
And now he's like, yo, your house is filled with flies.
Yeah. Durrell arrived at Larry's house and Dick showed him the massive amounts of flies that had gathered. He agreed that they should go inside to investigate. Once inside, they immediately noticed a foul smell in the air. They searched the house and found nothing out of the ordinary. They entered the kitchen and opened the refrigerator to find a few pounds of meat that had gone bad. They initially blamed the smell on the rancid meat, but after smelling the inside of the fridge, they concluded the meat wasn't the culprit. Durrell decided to check one final place. Having owned the house, he knew there was a secret trap door that led to a small crawl space underneath of where Larry's desk now sat.
No, that's so creepy.
The 2 men slid the desk back, lifted the large area rug, and opened the trap door. Inside, they found the badly decomposed body of Larry. Yeah. They immediately called the police. Larry's electricity had been shut off for months before, and his body had decomposed so severely in the summer heat, a cause of death couldn't be determined. However, investigators did find evidence Larry had bravely fought his killer. Blood was found on Larry's clothing that didn't belong to him. Hair not belonging to Larry was also found on his clothes and in the crawl space. After talking to Larry's family and to Sandy Smith, police learned the identity of the man who was at Larry's door that evening. According to Larry's family, the man had been selling antiques from Larry's store without permission while he was
wow.
missing to other antique dealers in Michigan. Police believed they had their prime suspect. Police brought the man in for questioning. According to investigators, he remained calm throughout the interview and denied any involvement in Larry's death. He voluntarily submitted DNA for comparison, then ended the interview by asking to talk to his attorney. The case took a major blow in 2006 when an FBI crime lab concluded DNA gathered at the crime scene did not match the DNA police had gathered from the suspect. Once again, Larry's case went cold and has remained that way since.
Wow.
Wow is right. Very, very eerie about the fact that his mom was sitting right on top of his body when she was going through his desk. Like it was right there under
and
her.
that she was on the phone.
Yeah. No, his friend Sandy was on the phone when a person showed up.
I thought it was our girl Wanda.
Nope, it was Sandy. But the fact that the killer is obviously very familiar with the house.
Very familiar.
How many people knew about that crawl space?
I don't know. I know, like, if you have a trap door in your house or something and you have close friends, you'd be like, oh, check this out. But not to a crawl space. It's not like it's a bookshelf opening to a secret room.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's the other, isn't it the other guy? Is the other guy? Where's the other guy?
What one?
They used to live there.
Tom?
Yeah.
He died from a heart attack. So he's out of the picture. Durrell, the dad, knew, but like, I don't think Durrell would have hurt Larry. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I feel like maybe the antique guy, had someone helping him. But again, how do you know about the crawl space? Like, it wasn't like Larry was like showing people because there was a big area rug and his desk on top of it. So for that person to know and then be able to move all of that by himself, pick up a big body and get it into that crawl space, like, I feel like this person probably had help.
Yeah, and I want to know, like, why they're showing up all pissed.
Yeah.
Like, what motivates that?
I don't know.
I don't know what can possibly motivate you to kill somebody, but...
Self-defense. That's my only reason.
Yeah, but then... I don't know.
This
It's
doesn't
just,
sound
it's
like
so
that.
creepy, especially to be the person on the phone and then know, like...
You were the last person to talk to him. It's weird to me, too, that it took so long to report him missing. I think it's 16 days. So the phone call that Larry had with his friend Sandy was January 12th, and his mom finally reported him missing on January 28th.
What was Sandy doing?
That's 16 days.
She was like, oh, must have forgot.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really weird. Because I'm sure, like, I don't know. I don't know.
And what's it have to do with the antiques?
So Larry owned an antique store.
Right, but like there's no way that store, I don't know, is a motive.
Maybe. Honestly, like, people kill for lesser reasons. Like, if this guy who literally Larry was missing and he was selling antiques out of his store to other stores in Michigan without his permission, clearly because he was fucking gone. So it's like, this man could have gotten in an argument about that with Larry and like didn't want his livelihood affected. So they were fighting about it and things went bad. Like a fight could have turned into then murder.
Well, that's just because whoever did it is fucking nuts.
So top comment on this one. Wow, I tried to Google this and there's very little out there. Very interesting case. Thanks for the write-up. I hope they succeed in bringing the killer to justice. I can't imagine what the motive would be. Scorned lover, maybe? And they go, OP goes, thanks for reading. I could only find a few articles about the case in the newspaper archives, and they basically all said the same thing, that just worded it differently. And I was very surprised at the lack of and inaccuracy of the info on the Indiana State Police cold case site. A scorned lover definitely could be a possibility. Maybe someone the family didn't know about, therefore never mentioned the name to investigators. Yeah, not a lot out there on this one, and...
It's just still amazing to me that people, whether it's a serial killer or just a one-off getaway, and just... I don't know. It just seems like that just doesn't happen, but it does.
Yeah. I think one of the other ones that I read that really stuck out with me is this man. It's another one on true crime, and it's a case about how a dentist in Ireland got away with the murder of his wife and his lover's husband for 20 years. So this guy was having an affair with a woman at his church, and they concocted a plan to kill her husband, and his wife. And they framed their murders to look like the two of them had a suicide pact because they found out they were cheating, and they put them in a car and toxic fumed them. And they got away with it.
I think if you have multiple people working with you, it's easier to
corroborate.
Yeah,
corroborate the stories
and make it look like something else. But
yeah,
still, you just
20 years, and he would have got away with it. He confessed.
Oh wow!
They closed the case completely. It wasn't open. It wasn't a cold case. They closed
just can't live with it then.
Yeah, and I can post a link to that one on the YouTube description, and maybe I'll cover it in like a future episode. But I just thought that was crazy. Like, and his new wife. So the guy totally like remarried and everything too. Like him and the lady that he killed for didn't even work out. They stopped like seeing each other shortly after the murders.
So they're both living with it. They're like the people that know.
Yeah, and so this guy, the dentist, got remarried. And his new wife, he confessed to his new wife, and she held the secret for 10 years. She didn't even come forward.
She's crazy too.
Wouldn't you immediately
I guess crazy attracts crazy though.
When you want to get divorced, like, wouldn't you constantly be thinking like, oh, I better not piss off my husband in case he kills me too?
I wouldn't even be thinking about divorce. I'd be like, holy fuck, how did I how did I get myself in this one?
I know.
You'd be afraid for your own life.
Insane.
Regardless of a divorce.
Insane.
You get divorced, you're still going to be looking over your shoulder.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like, I would have immediately ran to the cops.
But even still, you're just like, no.
Creeped up.
That's just like, these are things, obviously, that I hope to never experience because I just don't, I don't know.
No.
You're like
babe,
in a movie.
I'm not going to kill you. It's okay.
Well, I'm not really worried about that.
You paused for quite some time there.
No, it's just like to end up in a situation where, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like out of complete not your own doing, you just end up in some crazy, horrible thing.
So bad.